What's up, everybody? It's Jake Paine, and I just circumnavigated, traveled the whole world. I literally left New York, returned back in California, went all over a bunch of different countries, and I was chasing more than just Instagram moments, but something deeper. And here I'm just gonna share what some of the learnings, revelations I had. I had a wonderful time. I did business, I had some fun, but it was an amazing trip, so let's get right to it. The reason why I left is simply just because I could. I had some free time. I rented out my place and I just had some flexibility where I'm like, this is a unique opportunity where I can travel. I had some things situated where I was able to leave. And the cool thing was, a couple years ago, I just said this. I don't know why I said it, but I started to say, hey, when my business grows and reaches a certain number, I'm just gonna dip out to Southeast Asia for a while. And then it actually happened. Like, I used to just say that all the time. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go to Thailand, I'm gonna go to Philippines, I'm gonna go to all these different places. And I did. And I didn't even like fully plan it out this way. It just kind of happened. So that was actually a really cool experience that shows the principle of what you have is what you say, and what you say is what you have. So just speaking that out into existence and manifesting, or God bringing it to me, is what was super cool and unique to me, is because I just started saying it, and then 3 years later, without me even having to force it, it just happened naturally. So I went and it just kind of all worked out. So that was the main reason why I went. I had an opportunity. I got to visit a bunch of my suppliers around the world. I got to visit some of my employees that have worked with me for years, which was a very special experience because we've spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours together. We got to have dinner together with our family. And then I also got to meet some other employees I had in South Korea. So it was just an amazing trip to go surfing, to go travel, to shop, play, have fun, go to the beach. It was amazing. So here's 3 different experiences that I want to share: a good one, a bad one, and an unexpected one. The good one was going surfing in the Philippines for 5 straight days. I hired a coach at a world-class location called Siargao Island. That was just so cool. Like, the airport, you take some prop plane, you show up, it looks like nothing. Even when you get there, it looks like nothing, but the waves were just insane. The people there were so cool. It's like every little restaurant I went to I would order either a smoothie or a juice, a full-on entree, and tip. It was like 10 bucks. It was just, I don't think I had one bad meal. My surf coach was crazy cool. The waves were amazing. Everyone was just super chill. I was the only American there. It was just an amazing experience. Beautiful. I got to travel around the island. I rented a little motorbike, and that was a ton of fun. So I had an absolute blast. That's one of those locations, kind of like Tulum 15 years ago. Nobody really knows about it now, but in 15 years, everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, you went to Siargao. They're like, Tulum, I love Tulum. It's a location. Like, it's super cool. It's hard to get to for Americans because you literally have to go to the Philippines, and then you have to take 1 or 2 flights to get there. But that was an amazing location. And Cloud 9 is internationally recognized as one of the top surfing locations in the world. Like, right up there with Bali, right up there with California, Brazil, Mexico, Portugal. Like, Siargao Island is legit. So that was amazing. A bad experience that I had was getting sick. As I was leaving the Philippines to go to China, I got crazy sick. I woke up that morning, I was like, oh man, all I gotta do is just go poop. And I'm like, okay. And then I thought, oh man, there must be more in there. Because I was like in line, holding my bags, like shaking, feeling so sick. It was terrible. Like, thank God the person on the plane was gracious, because I went to the bathroom a bunch. I was just like breathing in and out, super slow, watching Moana, trying to calm down. And it was so bad. Like, I was really bad, just puking, throwing up. Super bad. I get to China and I like relaxed a little bit, but then later that night it was bad. I was already looking for the hospital. The concierge told me where to go the next day. I got some medicine. My family was ready to come and get me. It just was a very, very bad experience. Did not have fun at all. So thankfully I recovered a little bit. I got some medicine, and then I really recovered over time. But 3 weeks later, I still have a little bit of a cold. And then an unexpected one is also in China. In China, it was just really unique because here in the US, we've got a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of different things about China. Let me tell you, the Chinese people were incredibly hospitable. Everyone was nice. Everyone was very thankful that I was there as an American. And to be honest with you, I had a great time in China. I was supposed to extend it and go to a couple different locations and visit my other suppliers. Unfortunately, I got really, really sick. So I kind of cut that short, and I didn't want to be there because right there I was getting sick and everything. And this was during the middle of the trade war when Trump announced all the tariffs and everybody was freaking out. All the news was all in Chinese, but they were all talking about Trump and they were all terrified of Trump. Over here, we think that China is this big, bad, scary monster that's taken over the world because China has risen so fast. You know, you think about it, in the 80s, China was kind of nothing, right? Like they were a third world country. In the 90s, they started to rise a little bit. But from the 90s until now, their meteoric rise has been something like we've never seen before. You know, you think about some of these Asian countries like Japan and Korea. Korea and Japan were utterly destroyed after World War II and then after the Korea War. So to see how these Asian countries have risen in power, it's literally the greatest comebacks in world history because they're manipulating fiat currency. And that's what, when Trump is talking about China's manipulating their currency, because their whole economy is based off growth. To have a growing economy, and here's some things that people don't know about China. To have a growing economy, you have to have three things. You have to have population growth, you have to have consumption, everybody has to be spending money. You can't just be growing, and that's the third thing. You have to have growth, GDP growth, you have to be producing. You can't just grow, you also have to consume. So a good example of a growing economy would actually be India. They're growing their population, they're increasing their consumption, and they're increasing their production. China, on the other hand, has had exceptional production, right? We all look at China and they use their government to print money like we do, but they do it way more than us, right? They print their money like crazy and they fund so many projects. They just continue to innovate and grow and expand. You know, we've all heard of all the cities in China that nobody's living in. So the problem is they're growing, but then the other two things to have a growing economy, they're completely failing at. They've got almost 1.5 billion people in their country. Some economists say by the year of 2050, which is only 25 years away, they will have 500 million people max in their country. Think about that. Imagine if the US went from 350 million down to about 100 million. That's insane that their population is going to be cut by a third. The problem is after World War II, not only the US we have baby boomers, the baby boomers is everywhere around the world, right? So the thing is, they had so many children, they decided to implement the one-child policy. So for every woman, their average birth per woman is less than one. It's like 0.9 something, where in the US, it's around like 2 something. So the problem is they're not replacing their age gap, right? If you look at their population by age, it's so top heavy, and that's going to be eliminated. And kids, people are not having kids anymore. That's not just a US problem, that's a global problem. And what this really started from was in World War II. After the war, everybody came home and the economy completely changed. We got off the gold standard, we got off a commodity-based currency, and we went to a fiat-based currency. So what happened is people left the farm and moved to cities. And when they left the farm and moved to cities, the economy grew because of production, and they scaled down and they did a whole bunch of different things, but it was no longer affordable for people to have kids anymore. People were having 4, 5, 6, 7 kids. However, when they moved to the city, they have 1, 2, 3. And that's the problem, is people look at kids as an expense right now, because it is expensive to have kids. So around the world, not just in the US is actually better off than than most countries. Korea's in trouble, Japan's in trouble, China's in trouble. A lot of these countries are doomed. You even look at Japan. They even implemented a policy where foreigners can go over and have kids with their women because they literally are not having enough kids. They're like, we're not having kids. Let's invite other people to come in and help us have kids, because they don't have the replacement generation. It's falling off in that they won't have the workers, they won't have the spending, they won't have the consumption of all this different stuff in their economy. So China's economy is doomed. People don't understand that their economy is actually falling apart, not just because of the population growth, but also the production. when Trump starts putting in all these tariffs, yeah, they can talk a big game of they'll fight to the end, they'll do all these things, and China's this big, bad, scary red dragon, but that's just not true. They are dependent upon us. They know that their economy is doomed because they have no population growth and their population's fallen off a cliff, but they have no consumption because their entire country is poor. Yeah, there's some cool cities and, you know, there's maybe some billionaires here and there, but most of the country is poor. They don't have anything, so they're not spending anything. And then the third thing is growth, right? Even us, we buy all their stuff. The US is the one who created this problem of China. We're the one who decided to outsource all of our manufacturing to other places. We even are bringing it back in, so we are in control of our own destiny. We even are in control with our population. At least we have the replacement. Yeah, we're not quite where we need to be. However, we're way better off than all these other Southeast Asian countries. That is a major problem, that China is a doomed economy and they have no chance to be in the future. Right now, the US is the #1 GDP, China's #2. They're gonna fall significantly. This is probably the strongest we will ever see China, and their downfall is looming. So with all that said, they were very grateful that I was there. When I was walking through these manufacturing fairs and I was talking to these suppliers, they knew that the tariffs were there, but they were so grateful I was there because they want me to do business with them. They want to figure out ways around this. They want me to buy things from there because they know they have to have it. If I'm not there to buy, they have no economy. We're here in the US, we are bringing manufacturing back. We're having more things in place for us to grow our economy. So people are freaking out about these tariffs. First off, Trump already won the tariff war. People are so scared of like all of these different things. Even if we have a small recession, we are putting ourselves in a position to have a huge gain, because just like I said in World War II, after World War II, this is what really happened in America. We were the strongest country in the world, and we were the largest economy, and we were the only economy to survive World War II. So what happened was we decided, hey, instead of like every other empire in the past, what we're going to do, instead of conquering all of these different countries, we will help rebuild your economy, but you're going to do it on our terms. Thus, NATO was born. We created all these different trade agreements to incentivize everyone and say, hey, country over here, just do business with us and you will allow you to do business in our country, which will rebuild your economy. However, we want you to help protect us and we're going to protect each other, and we want all these good agreements. Sounds great. And it created the world's most prosperous trade agreements. It created the richest world we've ever seen. It created the fastest globalization we've ever seen on planet Earth through the history of time, which is awesome, right? However, the problem is those trade agreements started to change and China took advantage of all that stuff. That's why Trump's like, hey, Korea, we rebuilt your country and you're dependent upon us, but why are you charging me 4 times as much as I'm charging you, and I'm giving you 10 times the amount of business? So what he's doing is renegotiating all these things. So the reason why I'm saying he already won is because you renegotiated with the world, which changes things with China and then brings China to the trading table. And they're already negotiating with us, so he already won. Like the US already won the whole trade agreements because we just renegotiated the world and then put pressure on China. It was more about China than it was about anyone else, because they're the ones who's trying to do all these malignant practices where they're stealing our trade secrets, they're outsourcing everything else, they're taking other countries' resources, they're taking all these different things. They're not playing by the rules. So that is a major thing. And you have to understand what happened in World War II to understand what's going on now, is because this boom created, people don't understand how powerful the US is. Like, we were the strongest force that mankind ever saw. Like, that should be reconciled. Even everyone's afraid of China's army. The US, just think about this. If you took all the countries in the world and you combined all their navies, the US Navy is still 10 times more powerful than all the countries in the world combined. That's insane. And because of our Navy, people don't understand, oh, they've got more people in their army. That doesn't matter. It's our Navy that protected these other countries, which enabled, excuse me, it's our Navy that protected other countries, which enabled trade to be safe. So that's how we were able to lower costs and increase consumption and production to have global trade. So now that you understand all that, That's where we're at with the trade policies, and that's why we're going to win. And you can still do business in other countries. That's not a problem. It's not a sin to do business with China. It's not a problem. It's not evil or corrupt. It's just something that you need to know about of how they're treating us as Americans and where the American dollar is really headed and where the American economy is most importantly headed and how you can protect yourself. So now to talk about faith a little bit when it comes to the trip. This was very, very, very important to me. And I really came and approached this entire trip with a lot of intention because about 4 years ago, I went on a trip to Mexico for a month. I knew I was going to leave my house for about a month as well. So I was expecting so much out of this trip because 4 years ago, when I went away for a month, it changed my life. Like, it really changed who I was. I learned so much. God spoke to me in dreams. Like, I started my business from that trip. Like, I got out of a relationship from that trip. Like, so many things changed from that trip. So this trip, I was super excited to see, like, what is God going to speak to me now? Like, where am I going to be? How are things going to happen? Like, what's all going to happen throughout this entire process? So I was really, really excited about this trip. And here's a couple learnings from that. Number one, I actually did not go to church, and I wish I went to church. It just so happened like every Sunday I was traveling. I was really planning on going to church, especially in South Korea. In South Korea, they actually had the largest church in the world at one time of over 1 million members. It's since gone down. It's Yoshido, I think it's called Yoshido Church, Yoshido Ministries by Dr. Paul Yumi Cho. So that is an amazing place. I meant to go. Unfortunately, I got sick and I wasn't able to go. I even actually had to cut my trip short a little bit, but I really wish I went to church. Wish I was able to do some of those things, but I had some great conversations with some people. It was cool to see in the Philippines, even though they were so poor, there's such a spiritual culture and they're very Christian. So to see Bible verses and have conversations with people and keep that fellowship alive was very important to me and was a lot of fun. And also I was able to stay connected with my friends and family. Like in the mornings and at night is when I was able to stay up, and they, our time zones had some crossover. So having that deep connection still, even far away, staying connected was amazing. That was very deep for me. And I think the biggest spiritual takeaway that I had was I was talking to ChatGPT all the time, processing my thoughts and my feelings. And one friend of mine, he sent me this prompt that I was walking through. And the prompt basically said, walk me through a 10 series question journey to help uncover the different masks that I'm wearing and create an affirmation for me that I can use to be able to heal from those experiences. And that hit me so deep. It took me through these things where it helped uncover I was operating in such a performance-based mindset where if I do good, I get good. If I do bad, I get bad, where I'm working to be good enough and to prove myself worthy. Like I'm not good enough unless I'm successful enough, or I have this, or I have that. And it just pushed me to the edge where before the trip, all I thought about and all I wanted to do was work. And then after the trip, all I wanted to do is chill and work way less. I wanted to work more and chill less. Now I want to chill more and work less. And that, there's a balance to it. But one thing that I really learned was I was working so hard to prove this image that I had to myself, and it just was not enough. Actually, even the Bible says the flesh is never satisfied. And so when I was working all these things throughout ChatGPT and I was going through these questions, one affirmation that I got that really, really, really helped heal me and put me at rest is I have nothing to prove. My whole time I was trying to prove something to other people or to myself. And, maybe we don't do that at such a very deep level and it's obvious, but for me, it wasn't so obvious. It was very subtle in my mind and in my heart where I was trying to prove myself worthy. And so using that affirmation of like, I have nothing to prove was very, very good for me. I have nothing to prove. So I was just really grateful to be able to have that affirmation as I was going through this trip and I was going through some of the world's most exotic places, working with some great people, staying in some great places, having these affirmations of just saying, I have nothing to prove was just so freeing to me that I've got nothing to prove. I am who I am. I am enough. I'm enough. I'm worthy. God says I'm worthy. I'm worthy. And I don't have anything to prove. I'm already a man. I'm already enough. I'm already successful enough. I'm amazing. Like if God says that about me, why can't I say that about me? So saying that repeatedly throughout most of the trip has just put me at rest. And even coming back home, I feel like I'm operating from a place of rest. I'm giving myself permission to chill. I'm giving myself permission to enjoy the moment because I am worthy. I am enough. And you can say the same thing about yourself. You don't have to wait to have these experiences. You can give yourself the experience without going through all these different things. So that was something that was just groundbreaking for me, is just to relieve that pressure and all this weightiness of I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. I am. And the more you switch from the I have to or until this, and you switch to the I am statements, that is the most powerful thing that you can do. And a couple of reasons why I did the trip from a business perspective is, number one, the tax code. Per the US tax code, if it's in the name of business, which it was, even though I did a lot of fun stuff, the whole trip was a write-off. So I was able to use and pay for that through my business rather than my personal. So that was a huge reason why I went. And I went and visited a bunch of suppliers over there in a lot of different countries. So in all those different places, I met with agencies, I met with people that can do certain things, freelancers, my employees, and manufacturers. Different countries are good at different things. So like the Philippines, they're amazing at hospitality and customer service. So service-based activities and businesses, they're great at. They may not be the best at manufacturing things. They are good at manufacturing some things. However, like any type of consumer packaged goods when it comes to food, like coconuts, mangoes, they're super good at that type of stuff. Furniture, they do some electronics. Almost every Fortune 500 company hires the Philippines as employees because they're way cheaper. They speak English and they got great attitudes. So a lot of times when you're on the phone and you call one of these companies and you're talking to their support, you're talking to a Filipino. So that is what they're really good at. China is great at obviously everything manufacturing, but mostly electronics. So I went to, in Hong Kong, a manufacturing fair, which is the largest consumer electronics fair. So there was massive halls, tons of different electronics. You're talking, scooters, headphones, any type of tablet, gaming chair, all kinds of different stuff, right? And so a lot of times it's cool, like you'll see stuff online, like they gave me for free, like a whole bunch of different headphones, Bluetooth. I bought a vacuum for, $19. It sells for $100 online. That was really cool. I've even bought a couple of different AI translators where they spoke Chinese and I spoke English, and it translated between the two of us, which was a lot of fun. There was a couple of different things I saw in there. I saw a flexible screen that you can put on like mugs or around walls. That was really cool. So there was some new technology, and everybody's got their own spin on certain things. But it was awesome to be able to go over there, meet, and they want to do business, right? Like they're selling you on, hey, you can sell this online. We've had successful people. And what's interesting is, some people are very successful selling certain products in certain countries, but they're not selling them in the US, or we're selling them in the US, but we're not selling them in Germany. So if you can find something that can work in one country, it can probably work in other countries, but it might not work everywhere. So that was some things I went to look at. And then in Korea, I went to look at a couple different things. I met with their largest beauty supplier, which supplies all these different things. So when it comes to cosmetics, Korea is the best. So South Korea skincare brands and cosmetics, I met with them. I'm looking to roll out my own skincare routine, or excuse me, I already have a skincare routine, but I'm looking to roll out a skincare line and a skincare brand. So we met with their largest manufacturer there, which was a lot of fun, and they can do anything and everything. And they can do things that we're not allowed to do. Like, for example, Korean skincare, their sunscreen is the best because they're allowed to use ingredients that the FDA does not allow us to use. So I know RFK is making a lot of news right now because he's changing those things. Like he just got rid of a lot of food dyes, but there's also certain things that we're putting in our sunscreen that we're not allowed to do in other countries and vice versa. So that is something that I would love to bring to the US. And they even have manufacturing plants in America. So I like that I could order some of those products here in America that are made here, but they're based out of Korea. So that is something, and just a couple different things that I looked at when I was overseas and meeting up with some of my employees, which was awesome. So we got to go out, have something to eat, get to spend time with each other's families. It was awesome, super rewarding that we were able to build something great. And they were with me from the beginning too, when I had nothing, right? When I was a faith project, when I was still working my job, they were helping me throughout this whole process. And to come and visit them, it was just very, very impactful to not just me, but I know to them. And it was just really special. And one question that I even asked her, I said, hey, am I what you expected in person? She's like, you're the exact same. You know, because we've talked so much virtually, but, you know, to meet in person was just another level. So I really have a deeper respect working from, and I'm going to hire more people from those countries. So now that I go there, I've traveled their country, I understand their culture, I've eaten their food, I know the different languages that they speak, like I understand the neighborhoods that they come from. I feel like I can relate to them and I have a deeper respect for them. So just as a recap, here's the different places that I went to. I went to my best friend's wedding in America, and then I flew out of New York. I went to Abu Dhabi. Then I went to the Philippines for 2 weeks. I went to Siargao Island, Cebu, Bohol, El Nido, and Palawan, which was insane. Back to BGC in Manila. I went to Hong Kong, China, and then I went to Seoul, South Korea. Then I flew back to the US through Hawaii into California. But some things coming home that made me really realize a few things. The reason why I came home was the trip came to completion. I did everything that I said I was going to do. I actually wanted to go to a few other places. I wanted to go to Bali. I wanted to go to Vietnam. I wanted to check out some other places, but I just didn't feel, I felt like it was complete. Like I could have stayed there and it was cheaper for me to be there than it was to be here. So I could have stayed there, but you know, I wasn't super lonely. I wasn't super depressed. I didn't run out of money. I just felt like it was coming to complete. I also got a little bit sick, so I was just kind of over it all anyway. But it just was time to come home. I felt like, you know, I wasn't at that point escaping from anything. Maybe I think I wasn't doing a little bit of escape before because I just wanted to get out of town. I wanted to change the pace. I wanted to go have adventure. And those are all good things. But I just felt like it came to complete. And I'm like, I'm just ready to come home. Not even that I was ready to get back to work. I just was ready to come home. And, you know, coming home, I just felt like, here's where my country is. Here's where my family is. Here, like, I'm so American. Like, it made me more patriotic being out of the country because I realized, like, I'm from the greatest country on earth. Like, I love my home. I love my country. I want to do business in my country. I want to hire more people from my country. Like, going around, especially during this trade war and atmosphere where everyone's either afraid, hates America, doesn't know what to think, you know, contrary to popular belief, most of the world loves America. I don't know what it is about our news where everyone thinks that we're stupid and we're rich and we're entitled. People love America. They love us because we're the most generous country in the world. We're so prosperous. Our culture, you would not believe, man, the Philippines, even in China, our products are there. Our music is there. Our movies are there. Our politics is there. Our sports are there. There is not an area in the world that American culture hasn't influenced. Everything about America, people love it. They want it. We are an international symbol of freedom, and we are leaders in the world. When they know about the FDA, they know about TSA. Our agencies are the standard for everyone in the world because we've been so prosperous. So everyone looks to the world. Everyone in the world looks to the USA for leadership. And when I say I'm American and I'm in other places, like it demands respect. And if it doesn't, it creates a different reaction, which creates a whole different conversation. So being in those other countries only makes you recognize the US is the best. Like when people complain about this country and they have something bad to say, man, go be somewhere else. Seriously, go somewhere else and tell me how great it is. Because let me tell you, you know, I went on earlier in this about China and the economies and how things are. In my lifetime, over the next 25 years, you will see superpowers in the world rise and fall. Who knows what's going to happen with Japan, but South Korea, China, all these places, Europe, man, these places have massive, massive issues. But you're going to see other countries rise like crazy. Like you're going to see Vietnam rise like crazy. Turkey, France, certain places in Africa, you're going to see become very prosperous, where other countries and other places in Europe are going to fall like crazy. Like we have never seen this in our lifetime before, but it is going to be, we are seeing a complete global restructure right now. So going outside of the country, spending a lot of time only made me more thankful for my country, my faith, my family, my friends, my business. Being able to go do something like that So coming home was just, hey, that came to completion. And, now that I came home, it's like all of a sudden, I'm noticing myself like, wow, these are my habits. Like, am I doing this because I want to do it, or is it just a habit? So it's having to check myself and raise my standards. Like I've already changed a lot of different things in my routine. I've already changed a lot of places in my home, and I'm really upgrading my standards. And I'm like, okay, we need to double down and we need to become more prosperous. We need to do a better job. We need to steward what I have more, because we need to take care of more people. We need to become more prosperous. We need to help others. So one more thing that I learned is just when I was in the Philippines, I was in shock on how much poverty there really was. Like, it wasn't just, there was one bad side of town. It was almost all extreme poverty, except for very small places. And that should be noted, because a lot of places in the US, we are so prosperous that our hood, our ghettos, our bad places, yeah, some places they're equal to other places in the world. But, we've got it pretty good in the US. Our standard of living is pretty great. And to realize there's a global need where there's a lot of poverty. And, that was something that really bothered me, really affected me. It really hit me to my core to see almost an entire country fall victim to poverty. Not all of it, but most of it. And it was in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And just to see how they were under that poverty, it really bothered me. And it actually led me down to a Bible study more about poverty and what to do with it. Because sometimes we feel like helping the poor can be a waste, cannot be about our time, but how Jesus really calls us to do that, and how it's taking care of him, not just you're throwing money away. Jesus even said the poor will always be here. Like, that's something that is always going to go away. We may not even fully get rid of poverty as a whole, but we're called and we're supposed to help those people in need. So it made me only want to become more prosperous and to help more people in need. And that was a major part of the trip. So the trip was amazing. Wouldn't trade it, but I had an amazing time. I did have some lessons learned, whether it was just the power going out, the internet not working, animals trying to break into my room, waking up, I'm fully bit with bites, getting sick, getting hurt my foot, hurt my back, got a cold, got a stomach virus from E. coli, going to some Chinese doctor. There was a lot of different experiences that I did not expect, but it was amazing. And if you have any opportunity, especially if you're young to go travel, you have to go do it. Like, the Bible says there's certain things that are better than money. Hey, it doesn't say travel's better than money, but I think it's better than money. And you can get out and you can go do certain things, surround yourself with different cultures and people. Like, when I walk down the street, everybody's staring, like, because I'm a white guy, like, there are no white people in those places, right? So, like, you're just different, right? And to see how people treat you, how you treat them, and, trying their food, trying to speak their language, like, you just realize how big the world is and how small I really am. And, like, even things like, celebrities and culture and things that we take for granted, and you say to any American and they don't. And so to think, oh, wow, like, this is my world over here, and they could care less. It just kind of equalizes the field, and you go, okay, maybe my problems aren't so small, and maybe my goals aren't so big. And so it just kind of changes and challenges your thought process. So those are one of the few things that I think are worth trading your money for, especially when you're young and you've got some flexibility, is to go out and travel, experience the world.